Good morning. Good morning. It is Friday, June 14th. I'm sorry, I can't even read. June 16th. Friday, June 16th, 7 a.m. New York time. So, good morning, everyone over here stateside. Good afternoon to all of our UK and European folks. And good evening to our Asian viewers. Hope you guys, wherever you're at, are having a good morning, good afternoon, or good night. Hope your day's going well. It's Friday. It's almost the weekend. This is the day traders hate. Friday is the new Monday because we know we're not going to get to trade and watch the market for the next 2 days. So I've always been kind of bummed when Friday approaches since I've become profitable because I love this. I love doing what I'm doing, and knowing that I have to not sit here and do this in the live market, it's a little sad. It's a little sad. But good morning, Corey, David, Beeswax. Good afternoon. Good morning. Glad you guys are here and in watching. Man, what a crazy week we have had in the marketplace with all of the news, all the volatility. We've gotten a lot of strong reactions. We have not been able to find setups that align with being able to participate with any of those. So, hey, Jack, good morning. But we come into our week here and we can see Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. It has just been open, high, low, somewhere, maybe still to be made, close. So what a crazy look at the candle we put in this week comparatively to 1, 2, 3, 4, the last whole month. This candle range is bigger than all of those. So, man, that's nuts. But here we are. We met all of our outline. We outlined at the beginning of the week here where our draw and liquidity was for the dollar, and I'd say we met that. I'd say we hit those objectives, and then some. So now we have pulled pretty deeply back into our OTE of this big move up. And if you'll remember, this whole leg here was the OTE of this big leg down. All right, so we had this big move down. These are all daily candles. We had a retracement back up into this area, OTE, and now we're returning back from the current leg, and we're currently in an OTE. So higher time frame perspective was we have failed to make a new low down here. And once we did not get displacement through here, then we were anticipating a reversal and a retracement back up into some of these imbalances. Now, once we got up here, right, this strong correction and a pretty quick correction, steep correction, I guess I should say. Once we failed to make a higher high here and we had a change of structure for the last 5 or 6 days, we were anticipating bearish price action. So that's why our draw on liquidity was down here, and then we identified where a discount would be, where fair value gaps, volume imbalances, order blocks, etc. would be in here, and those were our draws on liquidity. We've taken out this swing level here, and now we've reached into, let me zoom in so you can see this. We have reached into this volume imbalance currently right here. Price likes to be efficient, and it likes to provide good price action and relevant price action. So inside that volume imbalance, just below it, you also have another fair value gap that is resting just above this daily order block right here. So that could be our draw on liquidity. You can see we after that massive expansion that we had yesterday, we're currently leaving behind a rather large sell side imbalance here. Price so far has reached back up a little bit into it. Oftentimes, after a large expansion day, you get a small consolidation. Very rarely do you get two big expansion days. Like right here, big expansion, and then what? Small range, small range. Big expansion, small range, right? Big expansion down, small range, big expansion down. So what can we anticipate today? Perhaps a pullback, perhaps a small little pullback. Maybe not a all the way pullback, but perhaps it's Friday. Could be one of those thank God it's Friday returns. Anybody who's been short and bearish on the dollar all week, it's Friday. They don't want to hold over the weekend. So what do? They take their profits, which would push the dollar back up a little bit if they don't want to hold through the weekend. The other possibility is that we still have more red folder news today, and you could see more bearish price action, perhaps another dig, one final dig for a new. It's already made a low of the week. It's already taken out yesterday's low. So Friday is going to be the low of the week this week. The question is that low already in from London and Asia trading session? Or do we take another deeper dig, maybe reach down into this fair value gap? Oops, sorry about that. Reach down into that fair value gap, and then, where do we close? So a lot of, if we close strong bearish today, if we don't get a really healthy pullback, then your low of the year on dollar is in jeopardy, I think, over the coming weeks. So down here, taking these relative equal lows and digging into this monthly imbalance way over here. We tapped into it back in February, and then we tapped into it in April, came back out of it, opened up in May, and then we just had that strong leg up, traded back up into this order block, and now we've reacted off of it and pulling back down. So I would anticipate the dollar reaching into here either later this month, in the next couple of weeks, or into July at some point, making a new low, displacing below these lows here. Of course, all of that could change next month when the Fed starts hiking rates again. That's just where we're at right now. So we're just trying to find out, hey, what's today look like? What can we expect the next week to look like? And today, we hit that volume imbalance overnight, pulled back off of it. We do have a fair value gap and an order block right below here. So that's kind of what we're looking at on dollar here right now. We know that there is a lot of imbalance that was left behind yesterday, and when you drop down to the lower time frames, it becomes even more clear. It just plowed right through that volume imbalance, plowed right through that daily fair value gap and order block, displacing below this low. And so, you should still hold a mostly bearish. But again, you could anticipate some type of move back up in here. You could also anticipate, just after all of this aggressive action all week, the market kind of taking a breather today and just kind of recovering itself and carving out some more areas of liquidity. So there we go. Let's drop down over to euro. Let's pop up over here and see what we got going on the weekly time frame. Here we have had quite the aggressive move. Look at the week we've just had compared to the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. When's the last time we had a candle like this? I mean, you got to go back a couple months before you've seen that kind of price action in a week. But it definitely looks like it is got this high, these relative equal highs, and this weekly volume imbalance in its sights. I doubt we get there today. I mean, we could. We still have. Let's see. We have where? Oh, that's the weekly. We still have some red folder news today. If we pull up our daily chart, again, we met our weekly price objectives over that swing level, this fair value gap. It's pulled up into this daily order block right here. So, we'll see. But these relative equal highs up here and then leaving that weekly volume imbalance before it hit that's definitely a very strong draw on liquidity, which would align with our dollar bearish sentiment and the relative equal lows on that monthly time frame on the DXY chart we just looked at. Good morning, Sam. Welcome in. So, yeah, I mean, again, you've had nothing but buy side offered all week long. So we're going to, and it looks like it's trying to take out a new high here currently as we open up here into the 7 o'clock hour. We do have news coming out at 10 o'clock this morning, our Michigan consumer sentiment. I would anticipate a some continued bullish price action, but again, like I just said on Friday, you can, after such a large aggressive day, you can oftentimes get a quiet day, so to speak, a return to some sanity and less aggressive movements. I'm not saying that's going to happen. I'm just saying that often that does happen. This is a concept that ICT himself teaches and refers to, that if you've just had a huge movement on one day, the next day often you get a ranging day, a consolidation. The market needs to create and engineer more liquidity to work with. So you can see quite a few imbalances, quite a few candles that have left no wicks behind. You had one at 12 o'clock yesterday. You had one at 10 o'clock yesterday. You had one right before midnight. It did get wicked down into here. So we're going to drop down into our lower time frames now and just kind of see what we see here on the euro. You had the Asian consolidation, right? And then as London hit, you got a buy-side liquidity run. And then it started dropping to take out the Asian low, and then now has since returned to try to aim for these London highs here. So not a lot of good opportunity here. You didn't get any displacement off of this London. Had it dropped lower first and then popped up, I would be more inclined to be bullish here. But it ran up, came down. You did not get displacement on any of these lows here. So there's no trade set up on the 15-minute time frame. You didn't get a break of structure. You didn't get displacement through. There was no follow through here for you to think that price was going to return to rebalance some of these areas down here. So there was, and then you can see it's just chopped the rest of the night here throughout the London session. So far all week, London has kind of been the big mover and given us the best opportunity. But maybe today, New York gives us that. We finally got some consolidation. Yesterday, this was quite a beautiful move and a great little setup here on euro dollar. We just didn't get any opportunity to participate. We had a run of sell side liquidity. We took out old lows and then we had displacement back through. You can see this clearly on the 30-minute. Took out these old lows, took out these old lows. This actually dropped down into the breaker from the London session right here. Beautiful reaction. So you had this down, these up close candles here. This is yesterday. We dropped down, took out sell side liquidity, displaced, and it started running away, right? But then as New York opened, this is an OTE. I mean, there was so many confluences here, but we couldn't take this trade because the news had not dropped yet. The news didn't drop until here on this candle. But we watched this come down all the way into that fair value gap, into that breaker, and then what an incredible reaction off of that. And then as the news hit, we were hoping that this new breaker that formed would get a pullback potentially on the news, and we just did not get a chance to participate in that yesterday. But the power of breakers and fair value gaps nested inside of breakers, this is really the full breaker right here. It's just gorgeous. Like, it's just gorgeous the way that these the market reacts to those areas. So that was yesterday, and now here we are today, just kind of stuck in a range right here. So I will be looking for setups even before the news. The news doesn't come out till 10 o'clock today. I'll be looking for setups even before then. The Michigan Consumer Sentiment Report is not on my list of red folder news to avoid trading. It can bring in some volatility, but it's not typically, as you don't get the reactions that you get with interest rate decisions, and retail sales and those kinds of things. Retail sales missed so heavily yesterday, and with the red folder news before, it was just more confirmation of a bearish dollar currently. But we had an aggressive move. We do know that there are imbalances down here. So while I am bullish on euro and pound, and I'm not necessarily against taking a shorter term reversal trade here, we're just going to watch and see where do we get runs on liquidity and where do we get displacement. Hey, Nan. Welcome in. Welcome in. Glad you're here. So that's euro currently. We'll be watching some of these lows here, and we'll be watching these highs. Do we get some kind of liquidity grab here? We did get one here, but we didn't get like a strong displacement above these levels. Had a run up that gave us a run down, and since then we just did not get a reaction off of that liquidity run. We have a run up here now on liquidity, and we are getting a little bit of a reaction after grabbing that liquidity here. But we're going to wait and watch and see what develops, see if we get a trade. Again, I come into the market every day anticipating not taking a position, not participating in a trade. And that's kind of my bias this morning, especially after the week that we've had, and we've had such aggressive volatile price action. It's going to have to scream at me that this is a great setup to be able to take it. I'm perfectly fine walking away for the weekend and heading into next week, where you can see we just don't have the crazy news cycle that we had this week. We've got building permits, which is not typically a huge market mover. Fed Powell speaks on the 21st, which, what is that, Wednesday? and that's in the morning. So that might be something on Wednesday that we'll have to watch for. But next week it's just going to be smoother waters, so to speak, potentially, if I could describe it that way. Let me pop back down in here, get back on our bellwether chart, see what we see. Jack says, would you mind reviewing my loss from yesterday, EU 15 5-minute London sessions? No worries if not. Yeah, we can do that. Let me get through some more. Let me get through these other pairs, and then we'll jump back over there and take a look. And if I remember, Jack, just off the top of my head before we even look at it, I think that had more to do with, well, we'll just go look at it. Sometimes they just don't work out. That's really the answer. Sometimes it's as good of a strategy and probable setup, sometimes they just don't work. All right, let's jump over to pound. It'll look very similar to euro here. Again, you've had just nothing but bullish price action. We reached all of our objectives this high into this monthly imbalance here. We have dug pretty aggressively into it. We're about 50% of the way through, which sometimes, and that's also in line with this monthly breaker here. So your last down candle that ran liquidity here on the monthly time frame, we displaced below it right here with a fair value gap inside. So we're currently inside of a fair value gap that's nested inside of a monthly breaker. All right. So we need to be aware of that. You have also another monthly fair value gap above here. So we have double monthly fair value gaps, and that corresponds with this monthly order block here. All right. But our price objectives, I guess what I'm saying is we outlined, hey, we were expecting a bullish pound up into this area, and that's where we have reached. We've taken out these relative equal highs, and now we're almost, I guess we've not quite filled in this first fair value gap. There's another one on the weekly time frame here. So again, we've just had a lot of aggressive bullish price delivery. And after a big move like we had yesterday, we've already made a new high for today. London, let's look at London here. So Asia dropped down, made the low, and then London just pulled up, and we've since pulled back into a consolidation here, which you can see more clearly on the 15-minute time frame. So we're going to, again, much like Eurodollar, we're going to watch and wait and see, do we get any kind of move? And knowing that we've had a big move, today could just present an opportunity to consolidate for everyone that has been bullish on the dollar all week long. They could be taking profits today, and that would push this back down a little bit. So we'll watch and wait and see what the sentiment will be. There's pound. We've looked at dollar. Let's look at gold. Gold, we were trying to get in on this big buy up. Our drawn liquidity had been met, and so we were expecting a reaction off of this drawn liquidity. We just did not get a pullback to participate. You can see it just ran and ran and ran. No breather. Look, no wick candle, no wick candle, no wick candle. Like, it just blew up. But we were identifying this last up close this streak of liquidity run started up here. So all of these candles here represent our breaker on gold yesterday. And if you just used the highest closed candle there, you can see it never gave us, whoops, don't want that. It just never gave us a retrace to participate. Obviously a fair value gap inside of here, but once the news hit here, it just started running hard, running very hard. You got your displacement, you just didn't get an opportunity to get back in there. But we were looking at that yesterday. We also had some technical difficulties, so we had two different streams. Hopefully we can avoid that today. So currently, excuse me, had a long night. Just quick personal life update. We're heading to Austin this weekend, and we're going to hang out with our kids. My daughter and her husband from Dallas are coming down. My son and his wife live there. My daughter that's in college is coming over. And my in-laws who live here in Houston close to my wife and I, were going to go with us. And we were all just going to hang out in Austin for the weekend. And last night, my in-laws called, and my father-in-law, who has had some heart issues and has had some stents and stuff put in from a heart attack years ago, yesterday started having a lot of symptoms again that were reminiscent of that whole event. And so they were calling to let us know they couldn't go, and they were thinking, this was shocking to us, they were thinking about whether they should go to the emergency room or not. So my father-in-law is 76 years old. He's already had one heart attack. He's had 2 stents put in. And he's just walking all day yesterday. He said anytime he would get up just to walk, go to the bathroom, take the trash out, check the mail, just started getting chest pains, pain in his left arm, shooting down, all the classic symptoms. And so my wife and I were like, go to the ER. We will come get you right now. And this was like 9 o'clock last night. So we were up pretty late, just getting updates from her. He seems to be okay. He is, they kept him overnight for observation. And they're just, so we'll get another report here this morning, but we are still planning to go currently, after I get off the stream today, loading everything up and going to Austin, but we'll see. I may need to not stay on quite as long this morning because of that, but we'll see. We'll just kind of wait and see. But that, if I start yawning, I know I yawn a lot anyway sometimes, but if I start yawning, should I talk about yawning? What happens? We really didn't get into bed and asleep until well after midnight last night. So running on just a few hours of sleep here. That's all right. I wake up at this time anyway. It's like my body just wakes up and I'm ready to go. It'll probably won't hit until later when I didn't get enough sleep. I'll be fine here for the next couple hours. But that's stuff that's going on. And just real life stuff. Real life affects how you trade. Real life affects how you get up and sit down and approach the markets. So don't think it doesn't. All right, so Euro pulling back here in the first half hour, kind of closing pretty bullish. Be interested to see if we take this high, does it want to return at all? Do we get any displacement up in this area, back down into this, kind of retest some of this today? I don't know. If it's going to continue to be bullish, we would rather see a run on sell side liquidity here and then displacement up, but don't know. US 30 yesterday, another big candle, and it has taken out this buy side liquidity here on yesterday's high. There's still another draw of liquidity a little bit higher, But you can see not as aggressive move as the foreigns. So you had Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday pullback, Thursday exploded, and you can see we do have some room to move back down. If it doesn't want to leave a fair value gap behind, it could move back down here today, or we could just close the week super bullish and people not taking profits. I would not want to be, if I was a day trader, I would not want to be holding over the weekend, right? Like that just doesn't make sense. In today's current culture and news driven media and everything that happens, so much can happen over the weekend in 2 days that I would not want to know I have either profits or drawdown going through the weekend. So people typically tend to trim their positions. So that's, you get profit taking, whatever the nature of the week had been. Oftentimes on Friday you get somewhat of a pullback as people take their profits and protect their positions. So if they're currently holding, their stops could be here, and they could be under just over the overnight lows. So we'll watch and wait, but that's kind of obviously some imbalances down here that would get you back into a discount if you want to go higher. So we'll just watch all that. Euro, again, just kind of hanging out around the current daily high. And so London is the range, right? We're inside London's high and London's low. So we're just going to watch and wait on that. Pound, very similar. Still inside. Actually, the Asian low and the London high there. But the London low is here. There's a mosquito flying around in front of me. How did he get inside here? But it's running up there now. And the dollar is showing some weakness. So we'll just, again, just watching. We are ready to find a setup. All right, Jack wanted us to look at euro dollar. He had a trade yesterday. Let me see if I can find that screenshot you sent me, Jack. Yeah, there it is. So let me pull this up here just so everybody can see what we're talking about, and then we'll talk through. Here is Jack's trade from yesterday morning. He had identified this area of a leg down, and so your manipulation off of this box, he would anticipate distribution above these highs is kind of what he was looking at. But here you can see Jack was bullish on the euro dollar, which was the correct bias, as we saw yesterday. So you had these lows here that he was looking at and anticipating coming in and getting run as the London session opened, and that's exactly what happened. Very similar to the other days that we've seen, and Jack has had great trades through London session, and I've said all week I've been jealous of the way London has been moving this week, running liquidity, getting displacement, leaving behind fair value gaps with breakers, right? And so he gets the run, and then he gets displacement. He identifies his fair value gap with his breaker. This is on the these are 5-minute candles, by the way. And then he sets his entry, puts his stop loss. Even if his stop loss was below this low here, it would have gotten tagged, and so this trade just didn't work out. Now, it did, obviously, you can see, run to his intended target, but it stopped him first. And, you know, this is why I say this is a great setup. I would have taken this trade. This is beautiful. But sometimes they just don't work out. Like, you don't know if the market wants to grab more liquidity. This run here was the true Judas swing that New York dropped back down into and tagged to take off for the rest of the day. So this is a Judas swing, grabs liquidity, runs away, fair value gap, great entry. I mean, I don't know that you can't anticipate that it wants to run lower. You don't know that. This was the setup. This was the model. And you took it. And sometimes they lose. They don't win 100% of the time. And this is one of those instances. So, but this is why you have to take every one of these setups, because if you take every one of these setups all week, there were 2 already this week that were winners. And that's 4R for the week. And if you took this one, you lose. You're still up 3R for the week. You don't know which ones are going to lose. You don't know which ones are going to win. You just understand what's happening, the logic behind it, that liquidity was grabbed, it displaced away, it's going to want to return and rebalance that price action. We use these order blocks and breaker blocks as our points of interest, and then we let the market do what the market's going to do. Your bias was right, your entry was right, your analysis was right, your execution was right, and you lost. And that's what happens as a day trader. That's what happens. You can do everything to the T perfectly and still take the L. So you've got to become a professional loser. You've got to become a professional loser. So that's kind of that. Let me get back here to my regular Twitter. Here we go. All right. So we're just kind of in a holding pattern here. We're just going to kind of watch and wait. I'm not expecting just a massive takeoff and explosion again like we had yesterday. If anything, I'm anticipating somewhat of a reversal and pullback because it's Friday and because it was such a big move. Now, it could just stay bullish. And for the euro, if we're going to look at a higher time frame objective on the euro, again, we're inside this fair value gap and inside this order block currently. This is a swing level, so you have a lower high, a higher high, and a lower high. So this is a swing high. Okay, so that's your next external draw on liquidity is right here. Up above the OTE. I'm going to take this OTE off. We are obviously right in the middle of this OTE, but it just kind of clutters up the screen and gives us more lines to look at than we need to. So right here was our weekly fair value gap. That's the box that we're currently in. So it'll be interesting whether this today, if we pull back and we close inside this fair value gap, does that next week push us down? Or if we close above this fair value gap today in this weekly time frame, does this fair value gap now become an inverted fair value gap and act as support to push us into these relative equal highs up here for next week? All to be seen and TBD. So we'll leave a nice little fair value gap down here on the daily. If we don't retrace today, next week will give us an opportunity to put in a weekly low that then we can use to target highs up there. If anybody else has screenshots of trades they want me to look at, you can always DM them to me on Twitter. I am starting to get regular messages in there, I guess I should say. It's not like heavy. It's not like my inbox is flooded with people. But it is picking up, and I probably get, 5 or 6 messages a day in there right now, which is fine. I love answering questions and helping you guys. So as until there's until there's so many that I just can't get to them all, I'm happy to get to as many as I can. So if you have a question or you just want another set of eyes on something you did on a trade you took, or a potential, even an analysis, like you haven't taken a trade but you're analyzing a pair or a setup and you just want a different set of eyes on it, I'm happy to take a look at it. I want you to get to a point to where you don't need that. Like you don't want someone else's opinion on your setup. You need to get to a place where, from a standpoint of self-confidence, you have your analysis and you trade that plan. Having other people's opinions in the beginning is good because it helps you build confidence when it confirms your analysis, and it can help you avoid bad setups and help you understand where your analysis needs more work. So in the beginning, it is helpful, but there comes a point where you don't want that anymore. You don't want to constantly need reassurance from someone else that your actions and your thought patterns and your analysis, it's going to ingrain in you that you're not good enough and you need someone else to validate that. And at some point, you have to get out of the nest. You've got to fly. You got to flap your wings, and that means you're going to fail, and that means you're going to lose. But that also, those are not, losing is fine. Losing are lessons. Losers are lessons. You've heard people say that before. When you lose, it's a lesson. And you learn fast and quick if your mindset's right. They don't hurt. They don't crush you. They are just bricks you can use to build your trading kingdom and castle. So don't be afraid of losing, and don't be afraid of trusting your own analysis. Again, it's kind of a two-edged sword. It can be very helpful, but it can also cut and wound you and hold you back. So all that to say, if you want me to look at something, I'll look at it. I'm not going to say no. Eventually I'll say no. Eventually I'll tell you, if we at some point, if we interact enough, I'll be like, you don't need me to look at this. You don't need me. Just do it. But we're not there yet, and I don't know you guys that well yet. You don't know me that well yet. So for now, shoot me over whatever it is that you have questions about, or pairs you have questions about, and I'm happy to take a look. All right, Euro trying to run out the London session high. Pound is also trying to run out the London session high here. Dollar also reaching for the low. This is a volume imbalance here, where it paused overnight, pulled back, and we're reaching back down into it now. Gold is reaching up higher. I'm leaving this 30-minute fair value gap in place today. You can see the way price has respected this 30-minute fair value gap right here. It's actually right. Oh, yeah, that was right there. It has acted as liquidity and rejected and resisted price. So I would anticipate, this is a daily breaker block here on gold. I would anticipate gold running up into these highs. Again, it left massive imbalance down here. So we'll see. GG says, perfect mindset. I have a tweet scheduled later today to go out about mindset. A lot of my tweets today are about mindset, and just mindset is really the last big hurdle traders have to grasp to become profitable. It's not like it's self-discipline, it's emotional maturity and mindset. It's patience, it's psychology. Notice I did not mention and I put this in the tweet, I didn't mention risk management, trading plan, fair value gap, breaker block, order block, silver bullet, session, ICT, SMC, support and resistance, Wyckoff. I didn't mention any of that. That is not, none of that. All of those are important, but those are not why you become profitable. You become profitable because of your mindset and having emotional maturity and being a patient professional trader. That's London has taken out its high. Euro has not yet, and the dollar still has some room to go. Trying to see here. 30-minute time frame, you had a run up, you had a run down, you grab liquidity, and you're currently displacing away. So this big bullish candle here was your last run on a 30-minute time frame, and could leave a fair value gap behind you right there. 15-minute, small little fair value gap in here. If it does, the one thing I don't like is that it just didn't displace. Like, there's nothing in here that makes that screams A plus setup, and I want it to scream A plus setup, and it just does not. Like, had this displacement here happened here, that would have been a nice little 5-minute setup right there. A little pullback into that fair value gap. But we didn't get it. We got the run on liquidity consolidation, and then we've had more moves higher. And it's just crawling up right now. Patience, patience, patience. 5-minute time frame. What do we see? Here's your lowest run on liquidity, relative equal lows, up, down, and then no displacement. And now you're getting a pull through. Nothing there, and nothing there. And so we're just watching. Oh my gosh. What do you guys got plans for this weekend? Anybody doing anything fun and exciting? Whatever it is, do not just sit in front of the charts all weekend. It's fine if you kind of want to go back and analyze your trades, winners and losers. You want to take some time to do that, cool. If you want to get in a little back testing, maybe replay the week, and just in about an hour you could replay your just your trading session. Like, just go to, where does my trading session start, replay that trading session. Maybe take an hour to do that. But besides that, get away from the charts, man. Get out there and enjoy life. Enjoy your family. Enjoy your loved ones. Enjoy nature. We live in a beautiful world. Even with all the other junk going on around the world, we live in a beautiful world. Grateful to be here. Gosh. Something in my throat's not happy right now. I'm going to look really quickly here. It's something. I got an interesting, had an interesting Twitter DM conversation yesterday with a fellow who, again, and it's social media. I'm going to take it at face value. There's a part of me, the cynic in me, that does not believe this situation. But even if it's not true, it gives a good teaching point. So yesterday I got this message from a guy who is in a pretty desperate situation. He seemed to be very emotional and upset. He said currently, basically, he's in this challenge. It's in drawdown. And he needs to pass, basically. Like, his current living situation, he can't find work. His mom, I can't remember every detail, but I think his mother is either very sick or just recently died, and he's basically now responsible for his younger brother and sisters. You probably have heard similar stories about some of this. Again, there's a cynic in me that's like, look, you're fishing, this feels like a scam, etc., etc. Besides all of that, if it's real or if it's not, here's the point. He lays out this entire story about how desperate he is and that he needs help. Like, he's failed challenges. He doesn't have any more money to go buy a new challenge. He's got this challenge. It's in drawdown. He needs to pass. Please help me. Please help me. Please help me. Even basically saying, here's my account. Will you trade this for me? I have got, like, I can't go get work right now. I don't know how I'm going to pay the bills. I don't know how I'm going to feed my brothers and sisters. Blah, 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 blah. Right? Okay. So there's kind of the background. Well, I tell him, first, sorry to hear about your mom. I feel really bad about the situation you're in. That's a horrible situation to have to be in. And that I'm more than willing to help look at what he's doing to help him figure out why he's not passing challenges, to help him figure out, is it his strategy? Like, sometimes it is the strategy. Sometimes it's the strategy itself is just not a highly probable scenario, right? It just does not give you good A+ setups. But more than often, it's just because you can't consistently execute the trading plan that you have. We've taken out, the session high here on London, and we're getting some nice little pullback here. We'll see how we displace from this level. Pound is not giving us that same reaction. Dollar hasn't taken out its session low. Sorry, I'm pausing from the story here. I just want to give you guys a quick analysis. Pound pulling away before reaching into that 30-minute fair value gap. US 30 doing nothing. So here's my interest here in the euro dollar. We've taken out the session high. If we get some displacement here, I would think the sell side liquidity could be in play if we get displacement away from here. We'll watch and wait. So anyway, back to the story. This guy, he's just and he's just not taking no for an answer. He's like, I'll pay you. Here's my crypto address. I can. I'm like, well, how can you pay me? If you have money to pay me. Like I told him, I was like, dude, I'm here to help. I'm not charging anybody for anything. Again, I'm not going to trade your challenge. I'm not going to send you money, right? I don't know you. You live on the other side of the world. I'm all for helping, but the help that I can offer is encouragement. Like, I can encourage you. I can pray for you. I can teach you. Like, I can sit at the charts and show you, okay, well, show me your last trade. Why did you take it? Let me see your strategy. I can help you with your analysis. I can help you with mindset. I can help you with psychology. And I can be a coach and just point out where you're continuing to fail, and that it's not your strategy. It's you. Excuse me. It's you. And the guy just would not take no. He just kept trying and kept pushing and kept begging, pleading, please, sir, all this. And I told him, I was like, man, look, you're trying to trade from a place of desperation, if this is true. And I'm just going to take it at face value. Yes, there's a cynical part of me that the entire time I'm having this conversation with this guy, I'm I'm well aware that like all of the red flags that you have that go off inside your head, all the alarms that start beeping like fishy, this is not real, right? This is a scam. All of that's going off. So I put that aside and I'm like, look, I'm just going to take this at face value. Maybe the guy really is in this desperate situation. I'm obviously not going to send him money. So what would I say? If this was an actual real life event, and maybe it is, uh, I would say, look, you you can't trade from a place of desperation where you have to have this work. If you're at a place in your life where if you fail a challenge, your life financially is ruined and you're going to not be able to pay bills, put food on the table, keep the lights on, feed your kids, whatever it is, you have got to stop trading and you've got to go figure out how to survive. Trading is not the answer to survival. And if that's the situation you're in, if that's the circumstance you find yourself in, you're not going to be successful because it's going to introduce such strong emotional vibes inside of you that you're not going to be able to control, no matter how much self-discipline you have. When survival is on the line, you're going to be have a greater appetite for risk because so much is at stake. And you realize if I got to pay a bill in 2 days, or I got to pay a bill, this is due in a week, I've got to pass this challenge, get funded, and get to a payout like tomorrow. Well, you're going to come into the charts and you're going to convince yourself of something that's not there, and you're going to over leverage. You're going to try and do all of this in one trade, and you're just going to screw yourself even further. And that was basically my, admonition to him. My encouragement to him was, look, I'm happy to sit with you and look at your strategy. I'm happy to sit with you. Basically, I said, hey, you need to come to the live stream. You need to be sitting on the live stream and watching. I'm showing you exactly how professional traders come to the markets every day and trade their setups. What I'm trading here, this strategy that I'm trading on this live stream, is not the only setup that I trade when I'm not on the stream. I'm just demonstrating on this stream one setup, mastering one setup, and only using one beautiful A+ setup to pass these challenges, get funded, and stack accounts, and showing you how to do that. And that it takes time, it takes patience, but eventually it's going to play out. And I told him, I was like, you need to come to the live stream, you need to sit here, you need to watch, you need to learn. But he doesn't have the time to do that. He's in such a desperate place. It's going to be very disappointing for him to come to the live stream and realize I've taken one trade this week and it lost. And that's why I think people who come in and subscribe to this channel and come in and watch don't stick around, is because I'm not throwing out multiple trades a day. I'm not scalping. I'm not trading every smart money concept, every order block, every fair value gap, every silver bullet, every trading session, every market maker buy model, sell model, every OTE, every new week opening gap. I'm not trading support. Like it you just name it, claim it, kind of trading. Like it's just, that's not how professional traders trade. Now, again, most professional traders, most funded traders, most traders who are consistently getting payout, they don't have just one setup that they trade. I don't have just one setup that I trade. But to start and to get there, just having one trade setup is enough. But you've got to be patient and watch and let it play out. And they show up multiple times a week. Anyway, this guy, he's like, please help me. I need to learn. And I'm like, okay, then come to the live stream and learn. That's how I teach right now. I teach on the live stream. I've got hours and hours. I've got over a month of streaming every day now, probably for a couple hours a day. There's probably 60 hours right now of videos on playlists that you can go watch and rewatch and learn and see how to do this. And you can show up here every day to class and watch and learn. But he's in such a desperate state. I doubt that it's gonna happen if it's real. And Corey, I agree. There is a big part of me that thinks it's fake. When you look at the rest of his, I went in and looked at the rest of his Twitter feed and, what he retweets and what he just tweets by itself. And it's obviously like, okay, either you're completely fake and you're just tweeting all this stuff to make people think that you have a different life than you do, or you think people are idiots and they're not going to go look at your stream and you're just online begging in people's DMs for money. Like, yes, I'm very well aware. I feel like it's a complete scam. I'm not really interacting with it anymore, but I'm a nice guy. I feel like I'm a nice guy. And I'm like, okay, obviously weird. Let me just respond in case it is real. I want the guy to feel some encouragement. So that's what I said. And that's what I'm saying to you. It is a good teachable moment for all of us. If you're in a circumstance and a situation wherein you have to pass this challenge and get a payout, or your life is really in danger of being screwed up, you're not ready to do this. You need to go and fix your real life issues before you come back to the markets and try to do this. Corey says, I don't think I'm doing much because of the weather. Oh, man. Hope you don't have bad weather over there. Could be just a good weekend to get a good book or binge a good show, or just improve your head, and get a nice little book on that book, Best Loser Wins, Best Loser Wins. I talked about this week. Man, I highly recommend it. Go get it. Read that this weekend. It'll help you as you head into next week for sure. Maverick says, hey brother, when you say you're looking for displacement, what does that mean? Is this ICT? I mean, it's kind of ICT. So displacement just means it's a big energetic move. Like, look, this is displacement. Like, we have these highs here, and what happens? You get a quick energetic price displaces away, right? So think of this. Displacement is used as kind of a naval term, like boats displace a certain amount of water, right? A rock, you drop a rock into water, the bigger the rock, the more water it's going to displace away from where that rock drops. Okay, does that make sense? So a big boat, when it big boat comes into the water, it displaces and moves water away. So when you think of it like that, you think of a move like this. Something happened here to displace this price away from that area, right? So when you see a liquidity grab like this, right, you see displacement away. We want to see displacement into liquidity, and then we want to see displacement quickly away after liquidity was grabbed. Now, when you're talking about displacement from a high, you have a high right here. These highs, right? Here's a swing high. If price were to come up and this displaced above that high, right? It didn't, you got to close, this candle closed above that body. So it displaced above it and then continued to move higher. These candles here displaced above that swing high. We displaced above that swing high. We're currently displacing above this swing high. Okay, so that's displacement. You can see here price failed to displace and create a new swing high. It came up to the swing high and then it failed and ran back lower. Right? So that's what displacement is. When we talk about displacement, that's what we're looking for. Pound is just running hard. Dollar is still weak and dropping. Gold making a new high here. We'll be interested to see, what's as we get into our 8:30 New York Open here in about 20 minutes. What kind of movement New York's going to give us. We've currently taken out the London session high on both the euro and the pound. The dollar as well has taken out the overnight lows. Are we going to get any kind of pullback, or are we just going to continue to run away? On the dollar, here on the 1 hour time frame, you can see there is a nice little breaker block right here. So you have this up close candle, or this down close candle ran liquidity. So we had this pop up and it's now displacing below, leaving behind currently a fair value gap in here. So potentially you could get a pullback into that level. Still just not a really good setup there on the 1 hour. This 30-minute, big 30-minute candle here. Again, what's the candle that ran the overnight lows? We consolidated. We've displaced above it now. There is a fair value gap right inside here that aligns with that 30-minute breaker. So if I just notate this here for you so you can see it. You have that 30-minute breaker. And you have this fair value gap inside of it. Again, it was the up move that initiated the down move. We displaced and grabbed liquidity. We did not get, I would have preferred to see this reaction off of that move, right? That's where you want to see it. As soon as it grabs it, you want to see it run away. Maverick says, my biggest issue is knowing when to enter. Sometimes I enter from the support or resistance move, thinking it's going my way, only for it to be a fake out. Yeah, that's why we wait for confirmation. Don't wait for, I don't trade support and resistance. You can if that's your strategy, but often support and resistance is just engineered liquidity, and those fake outs are stop runs. And so that's why on my strategy, I wait for the fake out to occur. I want to see, like, if we were just trading support and resistance, you would have entered as price came down into this area, but then you get that fake out right there, right? Like, dips you in and then runs you out. So, and if you entered at resistance, which was up here, you get the fake out. So if you were just overnight, you were like, oh, look, here's support. Price is supporting. It's not going to come up. You get come up here. And what's it do? Wicks you out. So that's why on my strategy, I don't want to wait for, I want to wait for confirmation. So I want to see liquidity be grabbed. I want to see a fake out happen, basically. And then I want to see it move away from that fake out aggressively, and then enter on a pullback inside of that fake out somewhere. Support and resistance traders, it's a great strategy. I'm not telling you not to trade that strategy, Maverick. What I'm saying is, you've got to understand your data. And if your trading plan says go short at resistance, well, then you've got to understand sometimes that's going to work, and you're going to be able to get an entry like right here, like you had resistance as price comes back up here. You're like, okay, I'm going short. It's resisted. I'm going to anticipate that resistance. I'm going to put my stop, a little bit above that high. So if it does wick up a little bit, it's fine. And then I'm going to target 1 to 2, right? And that it's going to work out sometimes. And then other times you're going to come up and you're going to be like, okay, it worked out last time. I'm going to do it again. And you're going to take a loss. But you have to know enough of your data to understand why, or what's your win rate with support and resistance. If you executed perfectly and took every A+ setup for support and resistance according to your plan, what's the data? And if the data is it wins 50% of the time with a 1 to 2 risk reward ratio, then you're going to lose. You're going to lose. Every strategy you're going to lose. And you got to get okay with that. You got to become, you have to embrace taking losses and be like, yeah, that they're going to happen. And it's not going to junk me up. It's not going to piss me off. It's not going to wreck and ruin my day. And it's not going to destroy. I'm not just going to come in and trash my trading plan and revenge trade and go on tilt. I just took a loss. I followed my plan. I took a loss. Like we looked at Jack's trade earlier this morning. He had a perfect setup. He traded it yesterday. He took the loss. It happens. So yeah, this is my approach. I have around 50% name for 1 to 2, but as you know, I'm working on my patience. Yeah, I know, man. We've been talking about your patience, and you're getting better. You just have to wait, and you have to be patient. And really, even more, Maverick, for you, instead of patience, it's really just self-discipline and emotional control. Like waking up each day. And I think I said this to you on Twitter, not to give away. We're not giving away private information here, but it's like waking. This goes for everybody watching. You wake up every day. You look at yourself in your mirror and you make a promise to yourself. I'm going to follow my trading plan today. I owe it to myself to follow the rules and be self-disciplined. I'm going to be patient. I'm going to wait. I'm okay with not trading today. I'm not going to force anything. I'm going to talk it out loud. And I'm going to I promise to follow the rules, and you make a promise to yourself that you are going to be a professional trader today, not tomorrow, not next week, not for the next year. Today, I'm going to act and be a professional trader. And that means I'm going to approach this market with no emotion involved. I'm just going to watch the candles print. And if my setup appears and it screams at me to enter, then I'm going to set my entry, my stop loss, my take profit, and then I'm just going to leave it up to the probability gods for what's going to happen. Win or lose, I'm going to mark it down. I'm going to go back and review it, see if there's anything I could have done better. But then I'm going to walk away and I'm going to be done, win or lose. And that's how professional traders trade. And so all of you, not just Maverick, but everyone, that's what you do every day when you wake up. You make a promise to yourself and you keep that promise. Every time you break a promise to yourself, you are destroying your own self-confidence, because you're just convincing yourself and proving to yourself that you don't have the maturity and self-discipline to do what's best for you. And if you can't trust yourself, you're damned. Like you're never going to be able to get across. Was trading gold today, got a loss because it was at a point where I thought it would now go down, but it was consolidating for hours and then I got stopped out. Well, my question would be is, why did you think it would go down? Was it at a point of interest? Had it taken liquidity? Was it just a random level where you're like, oh, I thought it would go down? Like what? I guess my question is why would you think that? That sounds very not strategic in getting into a trade. And I'm not trying to say that in a mean way. I'm just saying what you just put in that chat sounds not very strategic of an answer or an indicator or a strategy to enter a trade and put your money at risk. We're getting some displacement here on gold as we've reached up into that 30-minute fair value gap. So it will be interesting to see here what's happening there on gold. Pound is not having any kind of reversal or pullback. Neither is the euro. Dollar is kind of pulling back a little bit here. Not so much. Let's take a look at the lower time frames. Gold is definitely falling away pretty aggressively here. I was basing it on the Asian high, and it was at the top. Super appreciate your feedback. That's why I'm here. Happy to give any feedback I can, man. That's why I started the stream, to help the me 2 years ago, 3 years ago, that kept failing challenges and could not figure it out. That's why I started this whole thing. As long as you have a very clear reason and it fits your trading plan, like your entry has a very clear, specific reason according to your trading plan, cool, take the entry. But if it does not, and you're just assuming, guessing, oh, look at the way price is acting around here, it's probably going to change directions. Well, it's got to have a reason to do that. Time of day is important. What session are we in? It's important. Is there news? It's important. Is it at a higher time frame point of interest? That's important. The narrative around what's happening is just as important as when you just sit down the charts and you're like, oh, I think I'm going to try and take it. I'm going to get into a position here. All right. So we've had a nice run on liquidity here. We did take out some sell side here on gold. We're pulling back up. If we get some follow through displacement, you would be looking at this as these 4 consecutive up close candles caused a run on liquidity. And we'll see if we get some displacement, fair value gap. Maybe that could be an interesting little setup. Pound is just decided to continue its aggressive murdering of buy side. I mean, it's just no pause. Pause at London and then like no pullbacks. Euro is running, but not as aggressively, and maybe we get a pullback. But pound is just, man, ripping. Just tearing through this fair value gap here. It's now reached up into the higher fair value gap here. We're at 50% of this weekly or monthly, whatever this is, fair value gap here. We're about halfway through it. Mav says, thank you. I think all this will come with experience in new chart work. Yep. Chart work is super important. Technical analysis is super important. Like, you hear everyone say it's not your technical analysis that is keeping you from failing. Well, in a lot of instances, it is your technical analysis that is keeping you from not being profitable because you don't know how to read a chart. And technical analysis comes down to your trading system. Your trading system tells you exactly what you need to see on the charts before you take an entry. So, all of that goes into, do you have a good trading system and a good, clear set of rules and defined entry characteristics that you have to see before you'll take a position. All right, we got about 5 minutes here until the 8:30 New York session open. So we'll see how the market responds. And pound is just so heavy bullish. Mav says, I'm sorry if this is a super beginner question, but if you were to start trading again, how would you go about it? Where should I start? Well, it's kind of a tricky question, and I've been asked that before. You don't know what you don't know. And learning is the learning process. Most of it's experience, and you have to go out and you have to do things to fail and to get that experience. But if I were to write a letter to my younger self, my newbie trader version of me, sitting in the seat I am now, if I could write a letter and go back in time and hand it to him to try to shorten the learning curve and shorten the amount of time it takes to get to profitability, I think I would tell myself to be continued because my dogs just came downstairs and they need to go do their business. So let me get back. Let me go help them. Hey, buddy. Hey, buddy. I don't know if you can see. Come here. Hey, there he is. There he is. Look. Hi. Say hi. This is Remy. Remy, my golden doodle. And he's got to go to the bathroom. So let me go take care of him. All right, I'm back. He did his business. So what I was saying is I would tell myself that you're not emotionally mature enough and you don't have the appropriate self-discipline in your life to try to start doing this right now. I think that's the first thing I would say. I would tell myself, you need to get your life in order, and you need to have the mindset and integrity and in character in the rest of your life that's going to give you the mental skill that you need to come into the marketplace. I would not start with trading information. I would start with internal personal growth. I would focus on understanding how fear and greed and fear of failure and rejection and money management, fitness and health, how all of those things, time management, study habits, just being able to follow through on the things that need to be done and the way they need to be done in my regular personal life. I would start there. I would say you need to become the best version of you away from a computer before you try to do this. Become mentally strong, become emotionally mature, become a rock, an oak, mentally and emotionally and psychologically. And then once you have worked on that, and you don't have to be perfect, you don't have to be the ultimate stoic or whatever, but once you have become a consistently self-disciplined person in your personal life, now go and take that same commitment and that same attitude and that same psychology and approach and learn this trading strategy. Learn why. And as far as a trading strategy goes, I would just be like, I mean, again, I've said on here many times, you just need to pick one. There are multiple that are successful. There are multiple setups that are good. My dog is whining. I don't know why. Let me go check and see what he's crying about again. I'm sorry, guys. Nothing. Just sitting there whining, laying on the ground. But that's what I would do, and then I would focus on, okay, look, you need to understand why the market moves. You need to understand what's happening in causing price to deliver the way it is. And so find a mentor or coach that does this specific, the way I'm trading now. I'd be like, hey, go. For me, the 2022 ICT mentorship. I'd be like, hey, go watch this playlist. This is going to help you understand a very simple concept, a very logic-based price delivery concept that is going to give you a high probability setup a few times a week. It's going to give you around a 50% win rate if you execute it. And if you have the self-discipline that you worked on before you came here, you'll be able to execute this, and you'll be able to shorten the amount of time that it takes to get to profitability. But that's probably a little bit of what I would put in a letter to myself, a younger version of myself. I also struggle mentally with the challenge and then when getting funded. I feel I take larger risks when on challenges than when funded, as there are no targets. I don't know what to do. Well, if you're trading with a no time limit challenge, just treat it like a funded account. Just treat it like a funded account. Is that blurry? Is my camera blurry? I can't tell. Do I need to I can't tell if it is or not. Sometimes if I go to my laptop camera and then come back, it readjusts. All right, here we are, 8:30 open. We've had a run above the London session highs on the euro and the pound. The dollar starting to pull back. Gold has hit a high and displaced. US 30 is running up. So I'm interested here on this 30-minute time frame. Do we want to continue to go bullish here? That could present an opportunity for us. It's not the clearest setup in the world. Here you have a little bit of a clear setup on the 5-minute time frame here. You can see you had this up close candle. We ran old swing lows here, consolidated, then we displaced up. You did have a fair value gap right there. Not super clean. It did already tap back into that fair value gap and go higher. So I'm just kind of doing some interpersonal analysis here in my head, and I realized, oh, I'm not talking this out, and you're not listening. I'm just kind of interested to see what happens now that we've taken the London session high. 8:30 market open. Is this creating a Judas swing here? And I don't. This is a breaker. This is a fair value gap. I don't specifically trust it. There's part of me that just does not think this is a really clean setup, mostly because of this consolidation in here. After we ran liquidity, we didn't get a quick strong reaction away. And now that we've taken the high, and that it's Friday, and we have all of this area down here to rebalance, was this the Judas swing to run liquidity? Quick, energetic move up into liquidity, and we're going to get displacement down. So I'm still kind of on the fence here about what's happening. So again, when I don't have a super strong, clear direction of what I'm anticipating for the day, because my price objectives have already been hit, I'm more inclined to not take a trade. Not taking a trade is a decision, and it's part of being a professional trader, deciding not to trade. Very wise decision. You're never wrong when you decide not to trade. It's never a wrong decision. But Maverick, to go back to your question, you've got to start treating these challenges. If it's a no time limit firm, which we should only be taking challenges with no time limit firms. Until you're max funded with every no time limit firm, don't take a challenge with a firm that puts a time limit on hitting a large profit target. It's not necessary. So assuming you're with a no time limit firm, which I think you are, if I remember our conversations we've had off stream, you've just got to go, oh, this is a funded account. And it is a funded account. You have paid funds to trade that challenge. So it's you have funds at risk right now on that challenge. So you need to trade that challenge like you would the funded account. I don't trade my funded account any differently than I trade challenges. I am currently trading this $10,000 funded account is my master account, and I'm trading it identically the same way I'm trading this challenge because I'm copying these trades onto this challenge. I'm not changing anything about the way I trade challenges and the way I trade a funded account. No time limits. And I just take the trade. I have the same risk reward ratio. I have the same risk parameters. Nothing changes. We've reached down into that 30-minute fair value gap inside this 30-minute breaker. I'm going to be real interested to see. I'm not super inclined to go long here, mostly because of the aggressive price action we've already had all week long. And I'm wondering if this is the aggressive, see this quick move up from the 7 a.m. open. You had a quick move up into this London high and grab liquidity. And I'm wondering if we're going to get displacement here now away from that. Pound, same thing since the 7 a.m. open, just aggressive run up. A dollar, aggressive run down, pulling back. Remember on the dollar, got a fair value gap inside of here with this breaker. Last down move up, grab liquidity, displace below. So somewhere up in here in the dollar, if it's going to reverse and go lower today, I would anticipate it being right in there. But this could also be your energetic move down into run. So I'm just not convinced of that, of either direction yet. So I'm going to wait and see. Going to wait and see. Mav says, yeah, it's a no time limit firm. I'll be super honest with you. I keep thinking, okay, I was able to pass a challenge, so why am I struggling on funded and end up losing the funded? I mean, you're not alone, man. You and everybody else. That's a very common occurrence where you can pass a challenge and you get funded, and then there's a stat, and I'm just going to throw a number out there, and it may be wrong, but the statistic is that, I don't know, what is it, like 80% of people who get funded lose their accounts within the first 2 weeks after becoming funded. And a lot of times it's just the mental ability to understand that something has changed, something's different, like it matters now that it didn't matter before, and you're just emotionally and mentally not able to execute the same way because now there's an extra level of fear that if you fail, there's real money on the line. And it's just another level of fear that is coming into play there. So Eurodollar, you can see, is running pretty hard back down. and displacing lower after grabbing that liquidity. So again, you see this move of liquidity and you're seeing displacement back down into here, which makes me want to think that this higher time frame move, this was a run on liquidity here and a fake out. And we're going to target some of this sell side liquidity and some of these imbalances down here. But that's kind of where my brain is playing this out, and how I'm seeing this is that this is not just a pullback into this breaker and fair value. It could be, but I'm more inclined to think that it's not. But we'll see. I think maybe I would benefit from your approach as well once funded by another challenge and copy trade. So in my mind, I'm not stressing that it's a funded, as I will focus on the challenge. It's not a bad idea. And I would do the reverse. Instead of using my master account, my funded account as my master account, I would use my challenge account as my master account and copy trade onto my funded account. So just trade the challenge, set up the parameters on your copy trader to, you could, if you wanted to lower risk on your funded, you could. I wouldn't. I would just leave it the same, but just trade your challenge. Just go, okay, I passed a challenge. I'm going to get a new challenge. I'm going to trade this challenge. And I'm just going to become a master at passing challenges. And then just have your funded account just copy trade to that, and you don't even worry about it. You have an alarm on your phone that says, hey, every 14 days, let's go over there and see what kind of payout we have. But just trade your challenge. Just pass your challenge. And if you focus on that, then maybe mentally that could be a way for you to kind of get past that block, that mental block that funded accounts create in people. Let's see here. This candle, this 5-minute candle here, this down close candle ran up, and then we've had a pretty good push down. We don't have a nice fair value gap in here to target, but that's an interesting, I would be interested to see how gold responds to this breaker right here. We didn't get a huge displacement down away from it. We do have these relative equal lows here, relative equal lows here, and here. So there is some, we've reached back into that 30-minute fair value gap, which has held as a pretty strong resistance area in the past for gold in the last week or so. And so I would be tempted to think that some of the sell side liquidity targets are what it has in play here off of that 5-minute. You see pound pulling back now after that quick run. Euro has paused here inside that 30-minute breaker, but you can see aggressive run up into liquidity, aggressive run back down. So you got a lot of fair value gaps up here. You got a volume imbalance up here. This run on liquidity started from this swing level. So this candle right here, any of these down close candles you could use as breakers because they've now been violated. This one's been violated. This one's been violated. This one hasn't yet. And this is where this swing started. This big push up, quick push up here, actually started down here, but you can see this gave you a good pullback. These just paused. So it was like dig. And yeah, so we're just watching. Now you're getting that displacement to the downside there on gold. You can see it came back up into that after it closed below that breaker, came back up. If this candle had displaced and left a fair value gap, that would have been an interesting sell position right there. Pound is fallen away, and dollar you see after taking out the low of the day. I think the low of the day might be in. High of the day might be in on pound. High of the day might be in on euro. And now you see that displacement below this level here. So what I'm going to do is just identify, what do we see? I mean, this is a down close candle, but I think I hear my other dogs coming down. Give me a second here. I'm just going to draw this out, and then I'm going to let them out. Oops. I think I would look at something like this. Let me let them out real quick, and I'll be right back. Give me just 1 second, guys. All right, guys. I'm gonna give it about another 20 minutes here, and then I'm because we've got some stuff we need to do to get ready to go on our trip, and my father-in-law's situation at the hospital. We've just got some things we need to take care of this morning, so I'm gonna give this about 20 more minutes, and then I'm going to probably get off the stream. I'll continue to monitor things while I'm out and about, but. I think I kind of like where we're at here. So we've had a break of low, we've had a run on liquidity, we've had displacement away. I don't really like using this as a breaker, this weird little down close candle. You can, but if you look on the 5-minute time frame, you can see the last. This is the last down close candle that took out the latest amount of liquidity, and then we displaced through it. There's a couple fair value gaps and a volume imbalance in there. I like this setup. And you could target the low of the day here. So if you get any kind of pullback here, I think the high of the day is in. And so a run on liquidity, displacement away, fair value gap, breaker candle. Now, you could also use this down close candle as your breaker and the fair value gap inside there. And if you do that, I would put an entry here, and your stop is still going to need to be above that last down close candle, and it's just going to give you a larger TP, right? And then your third option is to use this final candle that it displays through and use a entry inside that fair value gap here. And again, I would probably have my stop at least above the body of that last up close candle, but probably above. And again, that's just going to give you a larger, more work to do on a trade if you got that entry there. So I would be more inclined, as price is aggressively moving away here on the 15-minute time frame. Not seeing much on gold there. There's just no good fair value gap, but I do think that that 5-minute candle is going to be your breaker there. US 30 is pushing up hard. Bitcoin pulled back off of that daily fair value gap down here pretty nicely. I think I'm just going back over all of this in my head one more time. I think I like option 2 the best, quite honestly. Mostly because this is the candle before the first run on liquidity was taken, right? So this is the last 5-minute down close candle right here. Let me zoom in on this, get rid of this. I can get rid of that for now. Let me just explain to you why I'm thinking this. So this is the last breaker candle. This high hadn't been taken yet, right? So you have you approach the high on this move, and then you get this candle that comes down, then runs liquidity, and then runs liquidity again. And the fair value gap inside of that candle, I think, is where I would target for an entry, and something like this. I think 50% of that. I do not trade Bitcoin, Corey, but I've had several people ask me my DMs for analysis on it, and that was a 4-hour swing trade that I had given out to somebody in my DMs. When it was doing all of this right here, and I sent that out to them. But no, I like this position. And I like this trade. And I think I'm going to use that. Yep, I'm going to do it. I like it. All right, I'm going to put in this, set this up, and then I'm going to have to get off the stream after this. So we are going to put our lines in here. And our entry is going to be, oops. Our entry is going to be right about there. $10 stop. And I'm going to be targeting right about there. I like it. All right, so let me put this information in here. My buy or sell limit 09594 is my entry. My stop loss is 09694. And my TP is 09383. There you go. I'm going to copy this real quick and put this on Twitter. Entry is 1.09594. Stop loss is 1.09694. And TP is 1.09383. There we go. All right, guys, I'm going to leave this right here. I'm going to set an alert so if we get triggered, I know that. That's all set. And I'm going to leave it there. If we take out buy-side liquidity here, I'll set an alert down here. If we take out this as well, then I'll cancel that order and I'll let everyone know. But price is either going to trigger us in or it's going to take out liquidity first. So we'll just wait and watch and see what happens there. So, all right. Good stream today. Thank you guys for being here. I am going to go enjoy my weekend with my family. We're going to do some traveling. I hope you guys have an enjoyable time wherever it is that you're at and whatever it is you're doing. Get out there and enjoy life. And we will be back live streaming on Monday morning at 7 a.m. Eastern. And follow me on Twitter throughout the weekend. I'll be posting stuff there. So have a great weekend, guys. We will catch you all later.